Welcome students. So in the previous class we were discussing the long term credit policy evaluation, and if company relaxes the long term credit policy, then what kind of the analysis is required. So we saw that we will have to use the incremental analysis or the marginal analysis, and under the marginal analysis or under the incremental analysis we have to see that how much incremental profit is available by say relaxing the credit policy. And we have seen that when the credit policy is relaxed by 30 more days, from 60 days to 90 days, the sales level is expected to go up from 1000 crore to 1375 crores. So the profit we have seen here is that is 102.5 at both the levels, that is whether you value the receivables at cost or you value the receivables at selling price, profit will remain the same, that is 102.5. and now we have to talk about the investment part, that how much investment is required to be made to earn this profit, this incremental profit, and to increase the sales. So additional investment required in the net current assets, that is both in the receivables as well as in the other current assets. So we have found out that the new level of investment will be this much, that is the 231.38 plus 264.45 minus 167, that is the existing level. Here this level is existing level of investment. So this is the level of investment we were making in the existing level of investment was, that is in the 167.81 is in the your current assets, which was there in the we have seen in this problem, that what was the level of current assets, that we have calculated this investment is by say which is given to us in the problem sheet. So that investment was, that is in the current assets here, that is 318. We were expecting that investment in the current assets other than receivables was expected to go up to 318.99 crore from the present level of 231.05 crores, right. And in this case funds available from the current liabilities will also increase up to rupees 87.31 crores from the present level of 63.24 crores, right. So now we have to calculate that how much is the new level, that is 318.99, and how much will be available from the current liabilities, that is 87.31. So what we are doing is, new level of investment we are working out is 318.99 minus 87.31. so that amount works out as we have calculated 231.68 crores. This is the one, that is 318, the level of investment which will be like say 318.99, and this much is required, 87.31 will be available from the current liabilities. So how much is required to be invested from the pocket? That amount is required to be invested from the pocket by the companies 231.68, that is in the current assets other than receivables. And in case of receivables, we have worked out the investment in the receivables, the new investment in the receivables, that is at the cost price, that is the 264.45. So we have seen here that total investment, new investment required would be 231.68 plus 264.45, that is a new investment in all the current asset, net current assets, and existing level of investment was, that is 167.81. Now how we have calculated this 167.81? That has been calculated from this one, that is the total amount here we have is that the level of current asset was previous before relaxing the policy was 231.05 crores. Out of that 63.24 will come from the or was coming from the current liabilities, that is from the spontaneous finance. So it means the investment requirement, though, so 231.05 minus 63.24 was, say the net investment requirement was, that is the your here is 167.81, that is in the current assets other than receivables, and receivables investment we have already calculated, that is 131.50 crore. So both the investments make total investment is, that is 167.81 plus 131.5. So it means total investment which is a new investment required in case of the relaxation of the policy is that is 231.68 plus 264.45. 231.68 is the investment in the current assets other than receivables, and 264.45 is the investment required in the receivables. So, total investment in the current, new investment will be this plus this, and then the existing investment in the net current asset was 167.81 plus 131.5. So, now additional investment required is, when the receivables are valued at cost, is 196.82 crores. Similarly, additional investment required in net current assets when the receivables are valued at the selling price. So, see here the investment in the other current assets other than the accounts receivables will remain the same. Earlier also at cost also was 231.68, here is also 231.68. So, there is no change in the investment in the net current assets other than receivables. However, there is a change in the investment in the accounts receivables, say at the selling price. So, we have seen, we have calculated the investment in receivables at the selling price. We have seen that the new investment requirement will be 339.04 crores and the existing was 164.38 crores. So, we have taken here, that is 231.68 is same in the other current assets at both the levels, whether you value the receivables at the cost or at the selling price, only the investment in the receivables is changing, because we are changing the measurement parameters, that is one is in cost terms and another is in the selling price terms. So, total investment when the receivables are valued at selling price, total investment is becoming new investment, that is becoming 231.68 plus 339.04, and existing investment is, that is one is common, in the other current assets it is common, that is 167.81 is common, that was existing, and the new one will be as per the selling price. The new one we have worked out is, that is the 160, how much we have worked out here is 164.38. So, that is when the receivables are valued at the selling price, that is the existing investment 164.38. This is in the receivables and this investment is in the other current assets. So, this total is this and this total is this. So, this minus this will become 238.53 crores. This is 238.53 crores is the investment. So, we have worked out now the profits at both the levels, marginal profits at both the levels when the values receivables are valued at cost and receivables are valued at selling price, and then the additional investment at both the levels when the receivables are valued at cost, which is the additional investment here, and when the receivables are valued at selling price, this is the additional investment of 238.53 crores. Now, we will have to calculate the cost at these two levels, cost at this level and the cost of receivables, means total cost of investment, bad debt losses and the collection cost at 2 and 3. When the investment is this 196.82, then what is the total cost, and when the investment is 238.53 crores, what is the total cost? Now, we will have to calculate that cost, right. So, for calculating that cost, we take it as number 4. So, marginal cost at 2, this is 2. So, we are going to calculate the marginal cost at 2 now, 2 above, we can say marginal cost at 2 above, point number 2 above. So, what is the marginal cost here? If you calculate the marginal cost, how much investment we are going to make here? That investment is say 196.82 crores, and what is the your opportunity cost is how much? That is 20%. So, it means this is the cost of capital, that is 0.20 is the cost of capital, this is the one, plus then collection cost was something like we were given here the collection cost. Somewhere here it is given as the collection cost VR, that is 5 crore. Yes, cost of collection department is 5 crore, which is likely to be increased by 20% due to increase in the sales. So, it means now we will have to calculate, add the collection cost. First is the investment cost, that is 20% of the investment, and then we will have to add the cost, that is the collection cost, and collection cost is how much? 5 into how much is going to increase by 20%, that is multiply 1.2, this is 1, then minus 5, that was the existing. So, this is the collection cost or cost of the collection department, and then plus we will have to add something here, and that something here we are going to add is, that is the bad debts cost. Bad debt cost is, what is this, 0.013, that is 3%, 1.3%, it will be 1.3% of which amount, 1375, and at cost we are taking, so we will have to multiply it by the new cost, that is 78% minus, that is a 78% minus here 0.01, existing was 0.01 of what, that is of 1000, the old level of sales, and the cost was 80%, right, the cost was 80%. So, this is going to be the total cost. First we have taken the first component, that is the cost of investment, that is at the rate of 20%, because why we have taken 20% here, because it is clearly given that physical carrying cost of the inventory is 0.5% per annum, and the opportunity cost of capital is 20%. So, we have taken the 20% here. So, how much investment we are going to make when valuing the receivables at cost, 196.82. So, 20% of that is the first component of the cost. Second component of the cost is, that is the collection cost. So, collection cost will increase from the 5 crore to by 20%. So, we have taken that 5 into 1.2 minus 5. So, that cost will be automatically added, plus the cost of bad debts. Bad debts level was 1%. What was the level of bad debts here? Bad debts level is 1%. Overall impact is expected to be, relaxation of the credit policy may cause increase in the bad debt losses to rise for the new customers. Overall impact is expected to be 1.3% as against present level of 1%. So, it means the bad debts are also going to increase from the 1% to 1.3%, and 1.3% will be of what, 1375 crores, but at the cost we are taking. So, it means we have to multiply it by cost, and then the existing level was 1% of the old level of sales, that is 1000, but we have taken the cost, and cost was 80% at that time. So, we have multiplied by the 80%. So, if you calculate the cost in this case here, this works out as how much, rupees 46 point, this is 46.30, this is a 46 point, if you take this, this will come out as 46 point, this is rupees, cost is rupees 46.30, this is a cost here. Similarly, we have to work out the cost at number 3, at this also, when the value receivables are valued at selling price, right here. So, marginal cost at 3 above, marginal cost at 3 above, right. So, marginal cost at 3 above will be how much, we will have to again calculate like this. So, how much investment we are making now when the receivables are valued at selling price, we are going to invest 238.53, and what is the cost of capital, that is again 20%. So, multiplying by 20%. So, and another is going to be something like the bad debt, cost of collection. So, cost of collection is how much, 5 into 1.2 again, and minus 5 which was existing. So, it will become increase by 20%, right. So, minus 5, and then you are going to add here the bad debt losses. So, bad debt losses will be how much, 0.013, that is 1.3% of what amount, 1375, and minus existing level is how much, 1% of what, that is of 1000. So, this is going to be the bad debt losses, which we also have to factor out. So, when we are calculating the cost here, marginal cost means, so we have to factor 3 things here. First thing we are factoring is, that is the investment, cost of investment that we are making in the increased level of the say total current assets when the receivables are valued at cost, as well as selling price. Second factor is for the collection cost, because cost of the collection department is going to rise by 20%. So, we have to factor for that increased cost. It is rising because we are going to have the additional sales on credit as well. So, we have to have extra expenses for monitoring the credit sales, and then we have the another component of the cost, and that another component of the cost is the your bad debt losses. So, we have to factor for that also. So, it means that will be 1.3% of new sales level as compared to the 1% of the old sales level, that was 1000 crores. So, if you calculate this cost comes out at, when the value receivables are valued at selling price, this is something like rupees 56.58 crores, 56.58 crores. So, these are the two costs. So, now all the three informations are available with us. How much is the marginal profit? 102.5, agreed. How much is the additional investment when the receivables are valued at cost? 196.82. How much is the additional investment when the receivables are valued at selling price? 238.53, right. And how much is the additional cost of maintaining the, say, additional current assets including accounts receivables? So, marginal cost, increase in the cost will be when the receivables are valued at cost, that is 46.3 this is 46.3, and in the second case this cost is 56.58. Now, the time of making analysis, whether we should relax the credit policy or not. Now, for example, if you go by the information given here in this case, that company want to increase its sales level from 20% to 25%, existing market size in which of the industry in which this company operates, Gamma Limited operates, is 5000 crores and the market is growing at the rate of 10%. So, company Gamma's market share is 20% and they want to make it 25%. So, it means currently they are selling for 1000 crores worth of the goods in the market, and if they want to have 25% market share of the rising market, then it will become 1375 crores. So, it means to have the sales of 1375 crores, they have to relax the credit policy, and if they relax the credit policy, so 2-3 things are important they have to do. That one thing is, that is the credit period they have to increase from 60 days to 90 days, and if they do so, then the collection cost of the collection department, sales collection department, credit sales collection department will rise from the 5 crore existing to by 20%, right. And then another component of the cost will be the bad debt losses, which are currently 1% of the existing level of sales of 1000, that will become 1.3% of the new level of 1375. So, that will be the another change. And when you are relaxing the policy and increasing the investment in accounts receivables, at the same time the investment in the other current assets will also increase, that is in the inventory, all kind of inventory, that in the advance deposits and then in the cash. So, all the current assets investment will also increase, and we have seen here that existing level of the current assets is, other than the receivables, is 231.05 crores, which will become 318.99 crores, but out of 318.99 crores, 87.31 crore will be available from the spontaneous finance. So, it means only we have to find out the investment for the difference, that is 318.99 minus 87.31, and in the existing level also we were having the investment only 231.05 minus 63.24 crore. So, that much investment was made by the company, and now the new level of investment which will be required from the company's resources would be 318.99 minus 87.31 crores. Remaining amount will come from the spontaneous finance. So, if you consider, and the cost of capital is 20%. So, if you consider all this situation and all these changes which are expected to take place because of the credit policy changes, long term credit policy changes, then we have to make this detailed analysis, and when we analyze the whole situation, we found out that how much investment is required to be made in the accounts receivables at the cost and selling price, that additional investment that was required to be made, and then we saw that total investment will be also going up, that is a investment in accounts receivables as well as the investment in the other current assets. So, we then applied the concept of incremental analysis, where we calculated 3 things. One thing was calculated marginal profitability at 2 levels when the receivables are valued at cost and selling price, which was found out to be 102.50 crores, and then we found out the additional investment, that is at the cost. When the receivables are valued at cost, it was 196.82, and when the receivables were valued at selling price, it was 238.53, and the marginal cost when we calculated, which was sum of three things: investment cost, then the bad debt losses, and the cost of collection. So, when the receivables were valued at cost, the total cost worked out as 46.30 crores, and when the receivables were valued at selling price, so total cost containing these three components, that is the investment cost, collection cost, and the say bad debt losses, that worked out as 56.58 crores. So, now all the three things are available with us. Now, you have to make the final decision, and final decision if you make, how you have to make the final decision? Compare the marginal profitability with the marginal cost. Marginal profitability at both the levels is 102.50 crores, whereas marginal cost, when the receivables are valued at cost, marginal cost is 46.30 crores. So, the marginal profitability is sufficiently higher than the marginal cost. So, it means the decision is yes, we can relax the credit policy, because difference in the cost and the profitability is very significant. Second case, if you look at, that is the say marginal profitability and the marginal cost when the receivables are valued at selling price. Again, here in this case also there is a sufficient difference between the marginal profitability and the marginal cost, which is 56.58. Marginal profitability is almost, you can say, double of the marginal cost, which is 102.50 crore. So, I think in this case also the answer is yes. So, in both the cases, whether we value the receivables at cost or we value the receivables at selling price, for the sake of working out the investment in the accounts receivables, additional investment in the accounts receivables plus additional investment in all the other current assets than the receivables. So, in both the cases we have seen that ultimately the purpose is that we should be able to recover the opportunity cost of capital, and second thing is the profitability should be so much which covers the all the costs associated to the increased sales, that is the investment cost, then is the collection cost, and third one is the bad debt losses, and sum total of these three costs in both the cases is much less as compared to the marginal profitability available from the increased sales, because or as a result of the relaxed credit policy. So, the decision is yes, the firm must relax its credit policy, that even by paying the increased collection cost and even by say expecting the increase in the bad debt losses, final net profit, marginal profitability is much higher as compared to the marginal cost. So, there is no loss in say relaxing the credit policy apart from the say marginal profitability, which is much more than the marginal cost. Firm is going to have multifarious advantages. Firm is going to increase its market share, increase presence in the market. So, it means their competitive position will strengthen in the market, existence will strengthen in the market, and as a increased and strengthened position in the market of Gamma Limited, their competitors may feel threatened. So, they may think of shifting to the other markets. So, it will create their own existence, their hegemony in the market, their presence in the market, and as a result of that increased market, increased sales, increased profitability, overall net result is a win-win situation for the Gamma Limited. So, the firm must relax its credit policy not on the short term basis, not for once or twice, but on the long term basis. They can review the policy after say 1 year or maybe 1 or 2 years down the line, but currently this policy needs to be relaxed, and the increased sales must be achieved by the company, and the company must say improve its position in the market. So, this is how we evaluate the say credit policy relaxations. Maybe they are the short term relaxation or they are the long term relaxations. In the previous class we have seen the relaxation for the short term purpose, and now we have seen that the result of the long term relaxation of the credit policy change, that is on the long term basis, and how that analysis has to be done. For evaluating the short term change, we have the clear cut model. So, that model will also factor all these costs. There also in that model we have also factored all these 3 costs which are factored here. So, there we had calculated the marginal profitability. From this model, say for example, we have calculated P, marginal profitability, and then we have seen the increased cost, but there only we have calculated the, or we have taken into account the variable cost only. We have not taken into account the total cost. So, we have factored the variable cost, then we have factored the collection cost, then we have factored the credit period and the bad debt losses. So, I think everything we have factored there also in the same manner, we have factored here also in the same manner, and finally we have learnt that how to evaluate the credit policy changes by the firms. Maybe they are the short term changes or maybe they are the long term changes. Firm must evaluate these, and time to time they must keep on reviewing their credit policies and taking their decisions, because without selling on credit in the market, it is not possible to sell everything on cash. So, if you want to have your increased and large presence in the market, the firms must think of selling on the credit in the market, and only thing is that the ultimate purpose is that marginal profitability should be higher as compared to the marginal cost. So, how to evaluate that in the short term relaxations and how to evaluate that in the long term relaxations, we have learned that with the help of the model, standard model, we can evaluate the short term changes, and with the help of incremental or marginal analysis we can evaluate the long term changes, and finally we can decide that whether to relax the credit policy or not. Every time we have to compare the marginal profitability with the marginal cost. So, here I will stop discussion on the say credit policy changes, both short term and the long term, and from this now we will move to the next part, and that next part is the deciding the optimum credit policy by the firm. Deciding the optimum credit policy by the firm. So, ultimately as we see that credit policy should be relaxed, firms must sell on the credit, no doubt about that. The discussion so far we had about the accounts receivables, we have seen that in every company's balance sheet receivables will be there. They are important current asset. Without this current asset, no firm can exist, no firm can sustain. If we think of manufacturing and selling everything on cash, it is not possible. So, we will have to have both type of the sales, cash sales also and the credit sales also, right. But the question is that the investment in the accounts receivables again here should be optimum investment, which is manageable investment, which is controllable investment. If you make investment in the accounts receivables beyond the limit, which is unaccountable, which is unmanageable, which is unforeseen, then what will happen? Most of the sales will become the bad debts, and ultimately the marginal profit expected from those increased sales will be much less as compared to the marginal loss because of the bad debts, as well as the cost, marginal cost, that is because of the collection cost. So, there is no point selling that way in the market. But you cannot say that we will not sell on credit. We have to sell on credit in the market, we have to give the credit on the market, because it is a two-way traffic. One thing is manufacturing firm is expecting credit from the suppliers along the productive distributive pipeline system. On the one side we have the accounts payable. So, it means when the accounts payables are appearing in the balance sheet, when we are buying the raw material or we are receiving the credit from the suppliers. So, when the suppliers are giving the credit to the manufacturer, why not the final user or channels of distribution of finished products can expect the credit from the manufacturer. So, only thing is that some excellent manufacturers or the manufacturers of the excellent highly competitive products may give the lesser credit, their credit policy may be tight or their credit policy may be stringent. But no credit means is very difficult to imagine in today's competitive scenario. So, question arises that yes, if we have to sell on the credit, how much credit we have to give? Ultimately again I would emphasize upon that the level of all the current assets or investment in the current assets must be optimum, neither too low nor too high. because if it is too low your profitability will be compromised, and if it is too high then the profitability will be risked, because as in case of the inventory your obsolescence risk will be very high, wear and tear risk will be very high, and in case of the receivables collection cost risk, bad debt losses risk will also be very high. So, we have to be very careful that sell on the credit, but at the optimum level. So, now the question arises, which is a $1,000,000 question, how to decide that in say optimum level of investment in the accounts receivables, and what should be our optimum credit policy. That optimum credit policy, how to have it, we will have the entire discussion, the total discussion on having the optimum credit policy in the next class. Thank you very much.